I don't know. I mean, it is crazy that this guy is about to walk into the White House for a second time. And again, I kept saying on the campaign trail, this guy doesn't know who our friends are. Now, I can tell you that he loves to pal around with Putin, and we know that Putin has decided that he wants to bring back the former coalition that they used to have, and that's why he went into Ukraine. I am here to say that we've got to have really good people around Trump. And right now, the people he's picking are not the best people, because somebody needs to explain to him in a very elementary way why we don't go after our friends, why we don't start wars. And honestly, that includes even tariff wars with our friends.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about Ghetto Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who went on a deranged and very ignorant rant against Trump border czar Tom Homan. Okay, Tom Homan has been making his rounds and explaining how he's going to conduct the mass deportations, which has caused fake concern among the Democrats and the mainstream liberal media as they pretend to care about the cost of mass deportations, which is something they really don't care about. And the reason why you know they don't actually care about cost is because they never care about cost when it comes to anything. Like, for example, Ukraine. They never ask, well, how much does it cost for us to send all this money to Ukraine to help them fight a war against Russia? They never ask, well, are we spending too much money? How much does it cost when you talk about sending money to Israel, right? They never ask about that. Or any type of pet project that Democrats want to fund. They never ask, well, how much is this going to cost? Okay, is this going to cost the taxpayers too much money? Okay, now all of a sudden when it comes to the border security, national security, and the mass deportations that need to happen in this country, now all of a sudden they're concerned about cost. Well, how much is this going to cost?
One of the things I've heard him give a lot of interviews, and I know he understands the problem that they want to solve, but he doesn't seem to have a sense of the scope of what it's going to take, what it's going to cost. And that's a critical question.
Well, I actually had a meeting with Tom Homan the other day, along with a number of my colleagues, and we talked about this very issue. Look, it's already costing states like New York billions of dollars of taxpayer money to provide free housing, clothing, food, education, and health care to illegal immigrants. Then you have the situation where you have criminal aliens committing violent crimes, just as we saw a woman being burned alive on a subway by a man who was previously deported and then came back into the United States illegally. The fact is that what Tom Homan is going to do is start the process of deporting criminal aliens out of the United States. And sanctuary states and cities like New York need to cooperate. This idea that you're going to violate federal immigration law, that you're going to use taxpayer money to provide all of these free things. By the way, while Kathy Hochul in New York is charging New Yorkers $2,500 just for the privilege of driving to work in Midtown Manhattan, it's a joke. This is the stuff that needs to stop. So, yes, there is a price tag. Yes, it's going to cost money. But the reality is we cannot continue to have this massive influx of illegal immigrants coming into the country.
Okay, and a part of conducting the mass deportations, they're going to need resources. We're going to need a place to keep the immigrants, right, to keep the illegals as we process their deportations. Texas has already volunteered to give up a bunch of land for the federal government to use. Okay, they're going to build out deportation facilities in the middle of Texas, and that is how the operation is going to be conducted, which apparently is a radical idea. Okay, let's actually hold the illegals. Okay, let's keep the illegals away from the general public. Ideally, you keep them out of the country, okay, aka remain in Mexico. You don't come into the country at all. As we process their asylum claims, okay, whatever reason they're trying to get into the country, yes, we should keep them away from the general population, okay? If they're in the country, they should not be living amongst the people, okay, if they're in the country. And if they're trying to get in the country, then they need to wait in another country before coming into our country. Again, common sense stuff, right? Very basic stuff that apparently Democrats don't agree with, okay? They think that this is a form of hate, bigotry, and cruelty, okay, to keep illegal immigrants away from the general population, or at the very least, that is my interpretation of Miss Jasmine Crockett, the ghetto congresswoman from Texas who loves illegal immigration. She supports open borders, wide open borders. She is upset by some of the proposals that are coming from the Republicans in regards to how to conduct the mass deportations. And she's accusing Trump border czar Tom Homan of being ignorant of jails and prisons, right? The guy that has been in law enforcement his whole life apparently is ignorant, while this woman, who, again, I'm not entirely sure what she did before she came to Congress. I guess she was a lawyer or something. But anyways, she's basically accusing Tom Homan of knowing less about immigration, okay, or illegal immigration than she does. Take a look.
Joining us now is Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, Democrat from Texas and member of the Oversight and Agricultural Committees. All right, Congresswoman, when you hear those remarks, what are your initial thoughts?
Again, we have someone who doesn't know what he's doing. And, you know, this idea of, oh, you know, you're illegal and then you go out and have a child. It's not quite that simple, especially when you have people that are doing things like seeking asylum and people that are saying, listen, I'm just trying to make sure that I can live a better life here in the United States. And I want to do everything that I can to become an American citizen or at least get some sort of legal status. And you have, you know, Trump that goes out there, him and his minions, and they say things like, you know what, we're only going to get rid of the bad ones, right? And so people sit there and they're like, wait a minute, you're going to come to my job where I'm working and I may be paying into taxes or whatever, or my kids are at school. You know, I think that there's going to be a rude awakening really on all sides.
There's also, to me, the idea that vulnerable women without access to health care or birth control may or may not be choosing whether or not they are conceiving a child. But I'll leave that there. Yeah. Homan also said family detention centers could play a role in deportation efforts. And he added that those facilities would not be jails, but, quote, open air campuses designed for families. I'm not sure access to fresh air was a lot of people's issue with that policy, but I'm wondering how plausible that sounds to you.
I'm curious to know if he's ever been to a jail or a prison. The reality is that these are nothing more than detention camps that look a lot like jails and prisons. I mean, obviously, there's what they call the yard when you go to a prison, and that is an open air facility. But, you know, there's always been a lack of humanity when it comes to immigration and this administration. If people remember the separation before, they may remember that, but they may not remember how much money it cost the United States when we were sued about the fact that these families were separated.
And deportations themselves are really expensive prospects.
Right. We know, you know, Texas is like, hey, we will go ahead and give you the land to do what you want to do. But we know that there takes officers, right? So we're talking about needing to hire more officers to execute this. We are talking about you can't just throw people into facilities. You've got to make sure that you feed them, got to make sure that you're keeping them healthy.
Right, and those needs expand if you're talking about children and families as well.
Exactly. So it's going to cost us monetarily up front, but it's also going to cost us because we know, again, that so many of these people are actually contributing to our economy.
Yeah, see, now you heard that. Apparently, Ghetto Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett believes that she is more knowledgeable on illegal immigration than Tom Homan, right? This is what she believes, apparently, okay? And Tom Homan has responded to the Ghetto Congresswoman and basically said that he has forgotten more about illegal immigration than what she currently knows about this issue, law enforcement, basically anything dealing with this issue. Take a look.
Absolutely right. It's frustrating because anytime you say something, it seems the left just completely twists it, runs with it. I want to play you a video of Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett talking about your capabilities on MSNBC this weekend.
Again, we have someone who doesn't know what he's doing. And, you know, this idea of, oh, you know, you're illegal and then you go out and have a child. It's not quite that simple, especially when you have people that are doing things like seeking asylum and people that are saying, listen, I'm just trying to make sure that I can live a better life. And you have, you know, Trump that goes out there, him and his minions, and they say things like, you know what, we're only going to get rid of the bad ones, right? And so people sit there and they're like, wait a minute, you're going to come to my job where I'm working and I may be paying into taxes or whatever, or my kids are at school. You know, I think that there's going to be a rude awakening really on all sides.
Doesn't know what he's doing. Tom, just to go through some of your background, a Border Patrol agent, an investigator, a special agent, supervisor, special agent, assistant director of investigations. I mean, the list goes on and on. You are so beyond qualified. What's your response to that?
Well, look, I forgot more about this issue than she'll ever know. I mean, for God's sakes, I've been doing it 34 years. But look, there has been a rude awakening. A rude awakening was in November at the election. There was a rude awakening that American people are sick of an open border. American people are sick of illegal alien crime in this country. I mean, how many young women had to be raped and murdered and burned alive? How many MS-13 and Tren de Guaya had to be in our major cities committing crimes against U.S. citizens? How many angel moms and dads do we have to have in this country that lost their children at the hands of someone that wasn't supposed to be here, and they've buried their children? You want to talk about family separation. And as far as family detention, all of a sudden the discussion goes from family detention to family separation. Family detention is the complete opposite of family separation. So look, I don't know who this lady is, but apparently she's not real smart. But she can say what she wants. Look, I made this clear. I don't care what they say about Tom Homan. Because, I've done this job for a long time. I think the president got a mandate in November. He called me and helped me fix the border. And look, under the Trump administration, we had the most secure border of my lifetime. We're going to get that secure border again because secure border saves lives, and no one can argue that. Under the Biden administration, we got a historic number of aliens have died across this border, nearly 4,000. An historic number of Americans, over 250,000, died from fentanyl comes across that border. Their policies are killing Americans at record numbers, they're killing aliens at record numbers. President Trump is going to secure this border and save lives, just not of Americans, but of aliens too. A secure border saves lives. That's exactly what we're going to do starting day one.
Yeah, so you see that you heard that. It really blows my mind that Democrats think that it is a good idea to continue to take a side on the issue of illegal immigration that the American people are against, right? I mean, the American people voted for mass deportations, okay? They voted for these so-called detention camps, okay? Whatever you want to call it, I don't care what you call it, okay? It needs to happen, right? We need to have the illegal immigrants round up and removed from the general population and processed, okay? So that the ones that should be deported can go ahead and get deported, and the ones that, for whatever reason, we allow to stay, okay, which shouldn't be a lot of them, but I'm just saying, if we do allow some to stay, okay, cool. We actually have vetted these people, and we know more about them before we let them just live among the general population. Again, in my opinion, this is common sense. But see, Democrats are going to try to play the card that they played back in 2018, 2019, of boohoo, whining, and crying at these detention facilities that, again, they didn't do under the Biden administration, right? They weren't boohoo, whining, and crying when the illegals were living in prisons and jails under Obama and Biden, but they did so under Trump. It really shows you how fake the Democrats are when it comes to this issue. Okay, ultimately, at the end of the day, they caused a huge problem in this country with the unfettered mass illegal immigration into this country for the past 4 years, and now we have to fix the problem. We have to solve the problem, okay? And then they want to boohoo, whine, and cry about Republicans solving the problem. It's what the American people voted for. So if Jasmine Crockett wants to stand against this, be my guest. And again, this is who Democrats, they're putting out there as people that should lead the party. Or put it this way, not the establishment Democrats, but the liberal media, okay? The woke revolutionaries in the media, okay, the race hustlers. They're saying that Democrats should have people like Jasmine Crockett and AOC lead them because they're such effective communicators, right? I don't care how much you try to finesse when it comes to your communication skills. You can't finesse your way through basically saying that you want mass illegal immigration into the country, okay? The American people have rejected that, okay? So I don't care how you frame the issue, Ms. Crockett. You're not going to change people's minds, okay? What Tom Homan is going to do, what President Trump is going to do is something that the American people agree with. And I really don't think you're going to be able to guilt trip people out of what they voted for, right? That is what Democrats are trying to do, okay? So with that being said, I'm glad that Tom Homan is not backing down from these Democrats. He is standing 10 toes down. He's standing on business, right? That's what he's doing. And he's continuing to come after the Democrats because ultimately this is a battle of public opinion, okay? If the public turns against mass deportations, then it probably won't be as effective of an operation as it should be, okay? However, if the public is supporting it, if the public is standing behind Tom Homan, then the operation will be more effective because it will pressure Democrats into caving on the issue. Okay, we've already seen Eric Adams come out and say, yeah, I'm basically going to try to work with Tom Homan. You have the governor of Massachusetts basically coming out and pushing back against the sanctuary cities in her state, the woke cities that essentially are trying to Trump-proof their cities. They're doubling, tripling down on the sanctuary cities. The governor is not. Okay, I don't know how serious she is about it, but regardless, she's saying this out loud. So again, the pressure's there because the American people agree with the mass deportations, and Democrats standing against it, they're only going against the American people. And if Democrats want to stand against the American people, be my guest. Be my guest. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.